Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. A lot of rumors to dive into on today's show. The Kings, are they still looking for a big-time addition to their roster? Is Lauri Markkanen staying in Utah? And could the same thing be said about Brandon Ingram? That's what is on today's show. I am Nic Rohloff. But make sure you are sharing this video to help us out and grow our content. We put out so much content on the daily with the NFL, NBA, and with the peak of NBA season, we need to spread the word. So help us out by clicking that share button, selecting the Twitter/X icon, and click post at Twitter/X. Help us spread the word. Let's do it today. All right, let's jump into the first thing here on today's show, and that is the Sacramento Kings. Are they staying active? Are they not done after they signed DeMar DeRozan? Because according to James Ham, the Kings are looking to add one more impact player to put them in the contention with the Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Mavericks, the Nuggets in the Western Conference. It is very easy to look out there and see who the Kings could be targeting. It's likely one of these three players. Lauri Markkanen with the Jazz, Kyle Kuzma with the Kings, and Brandon Ingram with the Pelicans. Now, it does feel like the best fit for them would be Lauri Markkanen. He's also going to be the most expensive. It seems like they also would rather prioritize Kyle Kuzma over Brandon Ingram due to Kuzma's favorable contract and likely less asking price from Washington in a trade. The biggest question when we talk about the Sacramento Kings, though, how willing are they to go all in on this current build of a Sabonis, Fox, and DeRozan 3 with a fourth player coming into the fold? Are they willing to trade Keegan Murray, who's going to enter his third year in the NBA? He was the fourth overall pick 2 NBA drafts ago, and it was quite the stunner. At the time, I didn't see the vision after he was coming out of Iowa. But he has become one of the best young players in the association. He's reliable, playing in 80 and then 77 games in back-to-back seasons. And he's got one of the smoothest strokes from beyond the arc in the league already. I'm convinced that whenever I watch him, and there's one other player I put in this category, Trey Murphy from the Pelicans. Murray and Trey Murphy, when I watch those two play, they simply never miss threes. And he dedicated that three-point shot pretty big time, shooting 41% his rookie season. He is a very good young player. And when you think about the Kings offering up, he would likely be the best young player that you would get back if you're asking for Keegan Murray. If the Jazz wanted a trade package, what would be better for them? Keegan Murray or Jonathan Kuminga? Probably Keegan Murray, right? And if I'm the Kings, and I ask the question, are they willing to trade Keegan? I'm probably trading Keegan Murray to the Jazz if I want Lauri Markkanen, because you need to commit, and I don't know if you have enough assets to get that trade done if you're not trading Keegan Murray. But there is no way that I am trading Keegan for either Kyle Kuzma or Brandon Ingram. It just would not take a player of his caliber to make that trade happen. But for Markkanen, if you send Keegan Murray and 1 or 2 first-round picks, that is something that Utah might actually like, as Keegan Murray is one of the youngest good shooters and scorers that the NBA has after just 2 seasons. So let me ask you this. The Kings, if they're looking for a fourth guy to add to DeRozan, Sabonis, and Fox, who should it be? Type LM for Lauri Markkanen, KK for Kyle Kuzma, or BI for Brandon Ingram. Probably would lean Lauri Markkanen. He's the best player on this list, and he's only getting paid $18 million next year. Could make a lot of sense. Let's transition to Lauri Markkanen now, because he might be staying in Utah. Anthony Slater, who covers the NBA, said there's growing skepticism that the Jazz are actually going to trade Lauri Markkanen. This makes sense, right? To me, the reports and rumors out there on Lauri are never they're looking to trade him to recoup assets. No, they're just listening to offers, and if they get sent a Godfather package, then they're willing to accept. And that's how it should be. He's been one of the best scorers in the NBA over the past 2 seasons since they acquired him in the Donovan Mitchell trade. 25 and 23 points respectively is just phenomenal, and not too many 7-footers are moving the way he does in terms of shooting the basketball, shooting 39 and 40% in back-to-back seasons from beyond the arc. And it's not just he is picking and popping as a 7-footer. No. He can shoot him on the step back. He can shoot it in movement situations. Markkanen is proving to be one of the more dynamic offensive players in the front court, and I think the Jazz should keep him. If I'm being honest, it makes no sense for me in terms of Utah trading him away, because at what point are you going to have to dig your toes in the sand and start saying, all right, we have a guy to build around? The Thunder were always an open rebuild. And then they got SGA. And it's like, well, we could trade him for 5 more first-round picks and keep this thing going and rebuild. But no, we're going to stick with SGA and we're going to roll around him. I think the Jazz should do that for Lauri Markkanen. Now, I don't know if he's able to be a top 2 guy on a championship contending team. I don't know that. But I know he can be at least a 2B, 3A type situation. So if you keep Lauri, you start building, you hit on a couple draft picks, and then you could potentially make a trade for a 1A or a 1B, and then you start competing in the Western Conference, that makes the most sense. So if you are a Jazz fan or an NBA fan, look for around August 6th. That's when he's eligible to renegotiate and extend. He's entering the last year of his deal, only getting paid $18 million. I would expect if he is not dealt by August 6th, he is likely going to sign a long-term extension. But what are the 4 teams, or any teams really, that could want Lauri Markkanen in a trade and could push to get a deal done over the next month? Well, the aforementioned Sacramento Kings, the Spurs, Warriors, and Heat. The Heat haven't registered that much interest, even though they probably should, because he'd be the perfect pairing with Jimmy and Bam. It's reported that the Warriors, they want Lauri Markkanen bad. They're all in to try to get him as Steph Curry's number 2 option. And the Spurs have also registered some interest, according to some reports and rumors. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like a Wembanyama Markkanen front court for the next 7 years could be tons of fun in terms of their dynamic switchability and versatility on offense. It would be one of the most fun things to watch in the NBA, and they would just have to get a guard to really manage those two, and they'd be able to compete in the Western Conference. But these are the 4 teams, if Markkanen were to be traded, I'd expect him to be dealt too. Make sure you are subscribed and don't miss out on the best NBA trade rumors on YouTube. We do not make anything up. We just report. We talk about what is happening in the NBA. We have 379,000 subscribers. If you're not one of them, you're missing out. So hit that sub button today. To kind of put a bow on the Lauri Markkanen conversation, and it was kind of alluded to, right, when I was talking about Keegan Murray and the Sacramento Kings. No pun intended here. But it would take a king's ransom to acquire Lauri Markkanen. Like, the Jazz are not giving him away from free, and I kind of mentioned that too, right? Like, if you're trying to trade for Lauri, you're going to have to send almost your entire house. Now, what if it's that if you're the Spurs, it's probably about 5 first-round picks, a couple of your own, the Atlanta Hawks picks you got in the DeJounte Murray trade 2 or 3 seasons ago. Like, that makes the most sense. Sacramento, you probably have to include Keegan Murray and as much draft capital as possible. Then if you're the Warriors, probably also have to send Jonathan Kuminga and all the draft capital possible there as well. And I know we talked Miami, but they would have to send their 3 young guys of Hero, Jovic, and Jaquez because they only have 1 tradable first-round pick. All right, let's end today's show by talking some Brandon Ingram, and is he staying in NOLA? Because there's rumors out there that there might be some optimism Ingram could remain on the Pelicans. This one's coming in from the Athletic's William Giore, who said without an Ingram trade, the Pelicans would have to find some middle ground with their forward on an extension. There is some optimism within the building that the 2 sides could come to terms on a deal that makes each happy. I was actually shocked to read this report earlier today because I still project the trade, and I think a trade makes sense for both sides. Brandon Ingram has been able to blossom his career ever since being traded from the Lakers to the Pelicans in that Anthony Davis package. But to me, I think this marriage has just run its course, and sometimes a breakup or a divorce is best for both sides. Like, Ingram's kind of stalled out, if I will. And when you think about the roster New Orleans is putting together, like, I don't know if he's even ready to fit there with CJ, Zion, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, DeJounte Murray. Like, is there enough room for Brandon Ingram? That's the major question, but there's no doubt he can be a second or third option in an NBA competing team. Doubted as a number 1, but with a good defensive guy and he's your third option and a good number 1, BI could be your number 2 as he's able to score at all 3 levels of the court. Will the Pelicans trade Brandon Ingram or will they keep BI? Let me know your thoughts down below by simply typing T for trade or typing K for keep. My question is, if you are typing your Ks and you're a Pelicans fan or a New Orleans Pelicans organization member, why are you keeping Brandon Ingram? I mentioned there's a lot of good players on this roster, and sometimes there just is too many guys. And I think that is the case in New Orleans. Like, there's just not enough playing time to get Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, DeJounte Murray, like CJ McCollum and Zion on the court together. Like, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen. So you could have an addition by subtraction type thing here where you trade Brandon Ingram for a first or a couple firsts. Maybe get another key role player off the bench that can provide some spacing and shooting. Like, to me, I'd like to see Herb Jones and Trey Murphy continue to get an elevated role on this team because they're two of my favorite wings in the league and could pair up perfectly next to Zion and then that backcourt of CJ McCollum and DeJounte Murray. I think it makes too much sense to move off from BI. I don't think he fits on this roster anymore, and I think you got to trade him. The only thing is, what is his value in a trade? Are you getting 2 first-rounders for him? I'm not sure if you are. Think about his contract situation. He's got 1 year left, $36.1 million. Sure, that's good value for Brandon Ingram right now, but if you're trading for him, you're likely also going to have to extend him. He's eligible for a 4-year, $209 million max extension this upcoming offseason. He's not worth that, in my opinion, because at best, he's a 2B, and I don't think he's worth $50+ million. I think he's right in that realm of OG Anunoby money, where he's getting $42.5, $43 million a season. Like, I'd be cool offering him the exact contract OG got this offseason from the Knicks, but that's probably as high as I go for BI, considering he's someone that needs the ball in his hands, doesn't shoot the 3 ball that efficiently, and isn't the best defender either. That's the conundrum teams are going to have with trading for Brandon Ingram. That's going to do it for today's show. If you want more NBA news and rumors, my Twitter is the best place to find it. At Nic_Rohloff's the handle. If a deal ever does happen, update or news will be dropped on my Twitter. So make sure you go give me a follow, and I'll see you with another video later this week. Peace out.